When temporary programs like Uniting for Ukraine and Temporary Protected Status come to an end, asylum becomes the path for those who just can't return safely. But asylum is only granted when the danger is really tied to who you are. You have to first show who you are in a way the law actually protects. And Ukrainians meet that because Russian authorities and forces are targeting Ukrainians as a national group. But that alone isn't enough. You must also show that your fear of harm is genuine and reasonable. And the reality of missile strikes, drone attacks, and widespread destruction all across the country really makes that fear well-founded for ordinary Ukrainians. Still, the law asks for more. The risk can't just be wartime chaos. It has to be because you are Ukrainian. Something the invasion, propaganda, and occupation practices make clear by punishing Ukrainian language, symbols, and identity. Even that doesn't quite complete the picture. You have to explain why your own government can't keep you safe. And right now, Ukrainian authorities simply can't stop the bombardments or protect civilians from abductions and abuses in areas under Russian control. Finally, asylum requires that there be no safe place you could reasonably move to inside Ukraine. And with nationwide strikes, damaged infrastructure, and the risk of forced mobilization, it's clear there's just no reliable refuge. So, this is the framework. You strengthen it by adding your own story, what happened to you and those around you, and where possible, witness statements and documents that confirm it. When an asylum officer or judge considers your case, they're looking for a full picture that connects your story to the wider situation in Ukraine today. The first thing you must explain is your Ukrainian nationality. Your case really depends on showing that you are part of a group that is being harmed, and for most people in this situation, that group is the Ukrainian people. Russia's invasion has brought systematic attacks on Ukrainian civilians, including missile strikes on homes, hospitals, schools, and infrastructure. Russian authorities have detained, tortured, and killed people for speaking Ukrainian, showing national symbols, resisting occupation, or even being suspected of supporting Ukraine's defense. Your nationality connects you directly to a group facing persecution. You can demonstrate this through your Ukrainian passport, birth certificate, identity cards, and residency certificates, or other documents that show where you are from and who you are. Next, you must show that your fear of returning is real and reasonable. It is not enough to say you are afraid. You must help the decision-maker understand why. This comes from your personal story and what you have lived through since the start of the war. Many Ukrainians have spent nights hiding in basements as missiles strike nearby, have lost their homes to bombings, or have been displaced multiple times within the country. Others have seen friends, neighbors, or family members injured, detained, or killed. You should explain what you personally experienced and why, based on what has already happened to you and others around you, you believe returning would put your life in danger. Reports from organizations like the United Nations and Amnesty International show that civilians across Ukraine are being killed in record numbers, and that Russian forces have deliberately targeted Ukrainian identity. When your personal story matches these broader facts, it strengthens your case. You must also make clear that the harm you fear is because you are Ukrainian, not just because there is war in your country. This is an important legal difference. In Ukraine, Russian forces and Russian-backed authorities have specifically targeted Ukrainian civilians for who they are, not simply for where they happen to live. They have attacked people for speaking Ukrainian, flying the Ukrainian flag, and supporting resistance against occupation. They've also carried out propaganda campaigns labeling Ukrainians as Nazis and traitors. This is what sets your situation apart from general danger in war zones elsewhere in the world. The violence in Ukraine is connected to your national identity, which is why it qualifies as persecution under United States asylum law. It's also important to explain why, honestly, you can't be safe anywhere inside Ukraine. Some people might think maybe they could just move to another part of the country, but the reality is, Russia's missile and drone attacks reach every region, even places far from the front lines. Civilians all over the country are facing constant bombardment, long blackouts, destroyed infrastructure, and limited access to basic resources. Even in western Ukraine, where loads of people have fled, bombings and displacement are still common. And on top of all that, many military-aged men are at extreme risk of being forcibly drafted, even in areas away from active fighting. Relocation just doesn't guarantee safety, and you really need to explain why there's nowhere you could reasonably live without facing those same dangers. Finally, if you are a young Ukrainian man, you should explain the danger of forced conscription and why it increases the risk to your life. Ukraine has lowered the mobilization age and now requires nearly all men of military age to serve. Reports confirm that men are stopped on the streets, taken without notice, and sent to the front lines after only brief training. Refusing conscription can lead to punishment, detention, or even imprisonment. For many applicants, this risk combines with the danger from Russian attacks to show that there is just no way to return safely. When all of these facts are explained clearly, they form the foundation of a strong asylum case. Your documents show who you are, your story shows what you have been through, and country reports confirm that the risks you face are real and ongoing. The most important thing is to connect your personal experience to the bigger picture in Ukraine today, showing that you are not just escaping a war zone but are being targeted because you are Ukrainian. That is what United States asylum law is designed to protect.